Okay, let's cut through the noise. If you are looking for clean, quick, and painless instructions on how to package and deploy your Unreal Engine projects, you are in the right place. A while back, I released a couple of videos showing people how to package their Unreal Engine projects for Android and how to properly enable hand tracking in a standalone mode for HTC VIVE and also MetaQuest devices. And to my surprise, one of those videos blew up. It received tons of positive feedback, but also in the comments, I've noticed how much Unreal Engine developers struggle with setting up their projects for Android deployment. That's why I decided to combine all those videos, update them, and streamline them for Unreal Engine 5.7. And also, in addition to that, I'm going to open source one of my PowerShell scripts for basically setting up the Android development environment, the Android build environment with just one click for Unreal Engine. So you don't even have to lift a finger. I'm going to provide the link in the description of the video. Feel free to use it, utilize it the way you want, because I'm going to release it under a permissive license. But before we jump to the video, I've also noticed more than 90% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So I appreciate it if you subscribe, if you like, if you put a comment for the algorithm. So it's going to encourage me to release more videos like this. Ready? Let's hop in. Okay, before we start packaging and deploying Unreal Engine projects to Android, we need to acquire and set up some prerequisites and components in order to be able to deploy Unreal Engine projects to Android. Some of these components are shipped with Unreal Engine, and some of them are from other vendors, like, for example, Android SDK, NDK, or Java Development Kit, which we'll later learn how to install and configure. But the first thing, as I've mentioned, you need is some components from Unreal Engine itself in order to make sure those are installed. For binary engine versions that you usually obtain through Epic Launcher, you have to run the Epic's game launcher and head to the library tab. There you have, you will see basically the engine versions that you have installed. But if you are going to install a new engine version, like for example, now I click on the install button here or add button. Basically, once I click on the install button, it's going to show me this dialog, and here there's an option button. Once I click on that, I see all the components of the engine, and I can choose them or select them or unselect them based on my requirements. And if you head to the target platforms, here you see there's Android options. And by default, it is not going to install. If I check this, it's going to add it to my download size and the required storage space. And once I click apply and install, it will be installed for me. I'm not going to install this version of the engine, but if you already have a version of the engine installed, you can always use this arrow here and go to options, and there you can confirm whether you have the Android target platform installed or not. Once you check that, make sure basically it's checked, you can click apply, and the install button and Epic Launcher is going to install it for you. A note about basically engines that are built from source. Basically, once you want to build your engine from source, even before you attempt installing the engine from source, you have to configure your Android build environment. Just a side note, basically I always ship my video tutorials with a companion blog article. As you can see, this one is already still not published. I usually publish them on my website, which is this URL, babai.net. I'm gonna put the link in the description, but here basically I put all the required links and all the tips and tricks. Usually here you could find the summary, and yeah, here basically there's everything you need. And here, as you can see, I've already added this note here. I've already had 2 tutorials covering how to build the Unreal Engine source code from Windows or on Linux. And there, basically, I show you how to also set up the Android environment. You could follow the rest of this tutorial because that one might be a bit outdated. And then you can continue building your engine. But the point is, before you even attempt to configure the engine for building, you have to set up your Android build environment. So I wanted to get that out of the way. I think basically that was the first component to make sure the engine components are installed. The second thing you need, and also it's here part of the article, Microsoft Visual Studio's configuration file, because Unreal Engine basically it requires very specific components from Visual Studio to be installed. And if you, for example, look up MSVC installer, maybe this way, because it requires a specific version, which is MSVC 2022 installer Windows. And once you go there, they will give you this online installer, the community version or the professional version, which these require a license, but you don't need a license if you are going to use the community version. You can deploy commercial projects with it, and there is no problem. Once you basically run that, it's going to give you a series of options. I have to look up Visual Studio installer here, and you will get something like this. And there's a lot of components that you have to do correctly, even like from these individual components that you have to choose and select in order for Unreal Engine and Android deployment to work. But the good news is you can always use a configuration. Like here, for example, I could export my configuration and share it with you. For example, let's go to desktop. I'm gonna share this as Android UE vsconfig. And once I do that, it's going to export it. And there's the file here. Now it is exported. I'm going to share that file with you. Actually, I already did. If you click on this file, it's going to basically be downloaded to your computer. Of course, it's because it is local, or maybe the path is wrong, but I'm going to make sure basically that is included. But inside this file, basically, if you find it, for example, as I have it here, you see this is a JSON file with all the list of all the required components. And then basically what you can do once you're back in the installer, you here just click import configuration. And once you do that, you choose the file and you will do the installation based on this file. It's going to check all the required components here, and then you just click install button. Of course, I've already have all those components, so it's not going to give me the install button. Okay, this is also out of the way. There are other dependencies that you basically required to have. For example, there are some plugins, but by default, if you want to just, for example, deploy to MetaQuest devices like Quest 2, Quest 3, or Quest 3S, you don't need basically any plugin. You can just follow this tutorial and you will be able to deploy. Or if you want to, for example, deploy to an Android phone. But there are some things that are not going to work, or some headsets that really require a plugin for them to work. Here you could find the common ones. For example, if you need hand tracking support on Android standalone, basically you have to download this MetaXR Unreal Engine integration. We will get to that because there are some caveats there. For example, like the supported engine versions and things like that. But know that if you want to do certain things, sometimes you're required to also install and configure a plugin. And the other one is HTC also. You cannot like deploy without this plugin to HTC from Unreal Engine, because the problem is your app is get recognized as a 2D app. It's not going to be a 3D immersive VR experience. So you definitely need their plugin to be present, configured, and basically shipped with your project for it to work. It also provides hand tracking support. So these are basically most of the required components. Of course, the last component that you need is Android Studio, which provides Android SDK, Android NDK, the platform API that you need, because also each version of the engine requires a different version of those. And also JDK Java Development Kit, and yeah, basically you need these to be installed on your computer. In the past, I used to do it manually myself. Of course, in recent version of the engine, they provide a button that you could use that to easily install the required Android components. But yeah, for me, it didn't work out of the box. That's why I had to basically develop my own solution, or usually I will install them by hand. But for now, basically, I have older tutorials. Those go through the installation process manually if you want to follow that. But as I said in the intro, I've developed a one-click installer, which is a PowerShell script that you could download the source code from GitHub or GitLab. Of course, I encourage you to never, ever basically blindly run a script that you get from someone, because it's a PowerShell script. It could do many things to your computer. Always make sure to study the source code for what it does, but it's open source. You can study it. I put it here. You could even ask ChatGPT to basically explain the code to you line by line or whatever. But please always study scripts before running them on your computer. But anyway, this version of the basically this installer, I'm going to keep it up to date as the engine requirements change. Right now it supports Unreal Engine 5.4 up to 5.7. But anyway, also one more thing I wanted to mention: if you are going with the manual route, like I've described here, basically Epic has some requirements. We will see later. You can always infer those requirements from this file inside your engine version. Let me make this a bit bigger. For basically Windows, it's always called setup android.bat. For Linux, it's setup android.sh. For Mac, it's setup android.command or something like that. You will look for basically a file like this, which you could always find the component version. And for Unreal Engine 5.7, once basically I checked their documentation, as you can see here, it's for 5.7. They have not updated it for 5.7, so it seems basically this is the same as Unreal Engine 5.61, because 5.60, when it was released, it was a different requirement, but they updated it in 5.61. As you can see, because I wrote this article a few months back, basically I kept the original. But yeah, a few days ago, I wanted to finish this tutorial and release it basically. I've noticed the requirements have changed. So that's why you find two versions here of this file. And also, yeah, this is from the documentation. I always put the link here. You can check it. For example, this is for 5.6, 5.5, 5. Basically 4. But anyways, if you use the one-click installer, it's going to basically take care of all of those components for you. Anyways, we want to stick to this approach in this tutorial, so I'm gonna use the one-click installer. You can either go to GitLab or go to GitHub, and from there, basically you can download the installer. I'm gonna go to GitHub, and here, basically, the only thing from this repository that you need to download is this file. Of course, here I put a table like which branch supports which engine version, because there are like slight modifications to this basically file. Here, if you click on this button here, it shows the branch. In order to make it easier, for example, at the moment, the master branch supports both 5.6, 5.7, as I've mentioned, the requirement for the latest version of 5.6 and 5.7 are the same thing usually. But in order to just avoid confusion, I add basically for each version of the engine a branch here. You could always use that one to obtain the required component. For now, I want to install it for version 5.7, and keep in mind, basically the script supports only one engine at a time, but I'm going to show you if you need multiple engine supports. There are other ways basically to deal with this. I'm going to show you how you can do it with the same script. You support basically multiple engine versions if you are developing for multiple versions of the engine on Android. But anyway, I'm gonna choose 5.7. Once I made sure I'm basically in 5.7, I could download the whole code, which is going to give me a zip file with everything, or I can download this file individually. Here I go to raw, and then basically press Ctrl S on my keyboard and save this. Of course, it's going to save it as a TXT file. You could use a quotation, fix the name and save it at PS1, but that's too difficult for me. So I'm gonna just download it as a zip file for 5.7, and even it shows like which branch of the engine it support. So I'm gonna save it on desktop, and then okay, I'm gonna find the file here. It's saved to my desktop, but it's a bit like crowded to many files here. I'm gonna move it to a cleaner partition here and paste it here for you to see easier. And basically I've got this file from GitHub, Unreal Android Installer 5.7 zip. I'm going to right click and extract it to a folder with a similar name. And once I'm inside that folder, the only thing that I need is this file. Of course, you can install the study the licensing term, which is free for commercial use. You can use it, study it, modify it, or redistribute it, as long as you keep the basically license notice, the original license notice. But of course, you can fork it and do whatever you want to do with it. It's under MIT license. But anyway, as I recommended, never ever basically run a shell script or even like a shell as powerful as PowerShell on your computer without knowing what it does. So I highly recommend to basically study the file here and see what it does for yourself. For example, I try to basically add section headers for you to make it clear what it does, but the code is pretty much readable, and as I said, you can always give it to ChatGPT to tell you basically what this code does. But this code, especially, it requires admin privilege. So once you run it, it doesn't matter whether you run it with basically admin privilege or you just directly click here and run it with PowerShell. It's gonna ask for Android, ask for admin basically privilege. So I'm gonna right click, run it with PowerShell, and It asks me to basically allow it to run as admin, basically elevated user. So I'm gonna press yes. And you see this screen with a lot of logs, like the version of things that is going to install. It's going to match exactly the things that your engine needs, and then it's going to also set up the environment variables. So Unreal Engine could find it on its own. But before that, it gives you this warning. It says you have already installed this because I already have it installed. So if I press no, it's gonna abort the installation, but we will use this path. It's useful. I'm gonna select and press enter to copy it for later use. But anyway, I can even paste it here for you to see. It's already installed here with everything, all the components and stuff. But I'm gonna press yes. So it's going to clean up. As you can see it here at the top, it's going to show you what it does. It's going to first remove my installation. Then it's gonna install everything from scratch, but I think I have a firewall. I'm going to temporarily disable the firewall because yeah, probably it's gonna conflict with this script. So make sure if you have a firewall, you have to allow it to download things. But for now, it's just starts cleaning up the old installation. Now that it's done, it starts transferring files. So it's going to download the required components one by one. And here you see a nice progress bar that is going to show you what it's doing. And for now, for example, it's downloading Android Studio. It already did basically download some other files, as you can see here, and it shows where basically it's downloading to. For example, now it's inside this temp folder. We can even select it, paste it inside the run or file explorer and see basically what's downloading. But anyway, it shows you everything with logs, and yeah, it's already, I guess, this is probably the biggest component, this Android Studio, and it's downloading everything. So we have to wait a bit for it. But also, as I said, it's only works with one version of the engine. I'm going to show you if you want to install with multiple version of the engine. There's a workaround for that, and yeah. So now after downloading, it's going to expand the archive and basically install it inside your computer. You could have done this all by hand, but it's very tedious. You have to go select components. So I prefer this script. It's much easier for me to do in an automated way. And then it accepts the licensing terms for you. These are the licensing terms for Android NDK and SDK. So maybe you have to study it if you care about the licensing terms. But yeah, basically also it runs the Android SDK components installation. Part of that is installed like this. For example, the Android NDK and other tools. So it was truly one click, like you don't have to do anything else. It's just going to install everything. And yeah, basically that's it. So now it's going to set up the environment variable for you because these should be there for Unreal Engine to automatically pick up our NDK and SDK, and even Java development kit. That's it. That's basically, that was it. Now everything is installed, but it gives you one last prompt. It says installation was complete, but to ensure that you have basically set up everything correctly, please do this thing, like go to your where you have installed Unreal Engine, then in the engine folder, extras Android, and run this file. And it tells you whether basically the installation has been successful or not. But before that, I'm gonna go edit environment variables. This is a setting inside Windows. And if you come here, you see it nicely set up all these like Android SDK, Java Home, NDK root, Studio path, whatever, and even like the path also, because there are some folders from the Android SDK that should be inside the path. So these are all set up, but we do as the script says. I'm gonna go to, because this was for 5.7, I'm gonna go to OPT because I installed it here. I have Unreal Engine 5.7. Then as it says, engine extras, and I'm going to the Android folder. And here, if I run this file, for Linux, you run this one, for Mac, you run this one. If I click this one, it's once it says success, that means basically everything is installed properly. And then I will press any key to just close it. And we could also press any key to close this one as well. But one last thing, because we just basically updated our environment variables. With some application, Unreal Engine is no exception. On Windows, you have to restart your computer to pick up these changes automatically. Otherwise, you have to enter basically some paths in Unreal Engine manually. But I'm going to show you where you are going to do that, because if you want to basically support multiple versions of the engine using this basically a script, you still need to do that for the other engine's version. You can just set up the environment variables for one engine version. For the other ones, you have to do it manually. But yeah, basically that's it. And if I go to the folder I mentioned, this is where it's going to install everything like Android Studio, Android JDK, JDK, and Android SDK. So previously you saw one folder because I installed on this computer using another method. But yeah, it's able basically to even remove those. And yeah, basically now here you have it. So what was the other basically installation method that I told you? I told you if you come here and if you run the script, basically, and yeah, it says you've already installed this. And here, if I press no, it's gonna abort the installation. So what I can do, I can rename this folder, for example, dash 5.7. Then I could, one more time, I could rerun this. It's not gonna ask this time that you have installation. It just directly proceeds to go and install inside the Android folder. This way, I'm gonna keep like the Android SDK, JDK, whatever, separate for each engine version, and then I'm gonna basically do the default configuration for one engine version. And for the rest, I'm gonna, as we see later on, because I plan to use 5.6 in this tutorial for MetaQuest and 5.4 for HTC. Basically, if you want to use their MetaQuest plugin or HTC's plugin, those are the latest supported engine versions. Yeah, I'm gonna basically install for other engine versions, and we're gonna see. But for now, let's keep this as Android. Yeah, I think I'm going to restart my computer in order to pick up the environment variables, and then we're going to be back following the rest of the tutorial. Okay, now I've rebooted my computer, and before we launch Unreal Engine or create a new project for deploying to Android or your headset, whether it's MetaQuest or HTC VIVE, we have to take one more step to ensure basically our setup is complete. And that is to enable development mode and also a USB debugging in order to be able to utilize ADB or Android Debug Bridge, which is also used by Unreal Engine, or we could use it manually to perform some debugging operation or deployment operations. So every headset is different, but on Android usually there is a standard way to do it. Basically, usually it involves going to your settings, tap on the build version for 7 times, and it's going to enable developer mode. And there, basically, you will be able to enable a USB debugging via ADB. And even if you basically Google, for example, for say HTC VIVE enable developer mode USB debugging, it's exactly the same procedure as I've told you. You go there, you tap on the build number 7 times, and it's as easy as that. But for MetaQuest, things are a bit different. You have to first download Meta Horizon app from the Play Store or from Apple App Store on your phone. You have to connect your basically headset to the same Wi-Fi network as your phone. And from there, from basically inside the app, you will be able to enable developer mode. And after you enable that, you will be able to, for example, enable developer mode from the headset itself or USB debugging. But the thing is, you have to do it through the Meta Horizon app. So that's why you require an Android app. I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to show you how to do it on my phone, and then we are going to be back in the tutorial. Okay, here I am on my phone, and I've already installed the Meta Horizon app. And just before you install the Meta Horizon app, one other thing that I forgot is that you have to go to your Meta website and make sure your account is a developer account. If you Google that, you can find that easily. I've already done that, so I'm gonna run the Meta Horizon app, and once I'm inside here, basically I will be able to go to this tab here, and here on the headset tab, basically I can see my headset at the top of the screen. Once I click that, you see here it shows me the basically battery level on the headset, and also even the battery level on the controller. If you don't see them, it's enough that you touch the controllers, and then once that is done, basically you see the controller's battery level on the app. But anyway, once you're here, basically there is a headset setting here. It was under the basically pop-up, the tooltip. You tap on the screen, it's gone. Now if you go to the headset setting here, and then here from the there is a menu. In the menu you are going to choose developer mode, and make sure this basically developer mode is enabled. I can toggle it to disable, as you can see, and then toggle enable, which shows me that pop-up, which some disclaimer, I guess, about data gathering or something like that. But anyway, now I turned it on, and if I go back to my headset, the developer mode should be enabled. Okay, after enabling developer mode on our Android devices or our headsets, we have to confirm whether it works correctly, whether it has been set up correctly or not. In order to do that, we have to use the ADB command, which is what Unreal Engine also uses for device discovery and also device management and deploying to your device and debugging. So in order to do that, I'm going to run cmd inside the run command, or I will find the command prompt here. And there, basically, I'm going to type ADB devices. And once I do that, basically any device that is connected via USB is going to be shown. For example, here I have a device connected. It says it's a list of the devices attached, which I believe is my HTC VIVE. If I'm going to disconnect this one, you are not going to see it. But anyway, now I want to connect my MetaQuest, because we just saw how to enable developer mode on this one. So basically ADB devices now shows nothing. Now, after running ADB devices, if I connect a USB cable, you can also see the environment from my MetaQuest using ADB, using MetaQuest Cast, basically. If I connect it, you have to, maybe I try another cable, because this cable has a bit of issues. Yes. You will see this dialog. Basically, it asks you, it says, this computer with this RSA fingerprint wants to access your device. I can cancel it, which is going to deny the access. I can allow it only this time, or I can basically choose the last option, always allow from this computer, which is not gonna ever again ask for permission, unless of course you disable developer mode and re-enable it again. It's going to show you this dialog. For example, if I cancel it, let's cancel it. What we see here inside basically ADB devices, it says it's unauthorized. But if that means it's not going to work. I'm going to disconnect the cable. I'm going to reconnect the cable. And as you can see here, again, we see that box. And I'm going to allow it. Now, this time, if I go back here and type ADB devices, it says device, which means it's authorized and it's okay. Now I will be able to basically access the device using ADB, and Unreal Engine is going to be able to do it. But I want to make it permanent. So what am I going to do? Again, disconnect the cable, reconnect it again, and I'm going to choose the last option. So now, if I reconnected the device, I basically disconnected the device. I'm gonna reconnect it again, and it never asks for permission ever again. And here, if I type ADB devices, it says the device is authorized, unlike the last time when it was unauthorized. And as you can see, I have another device as well. Maybe I connect that as well. It's an HTC device. I think this cable is broken, so let me use another cable, maybe. Yeah. So if I type ADB devices, now I see two devices. This one is my MetaQuest. The other one is basically my HTC VIVE. So yeah, this is how you set up ADB for deployment from Unreal Engine. Just one more thing to keep in mind is sometimes ADB, for whatever reason, it's not gonna play nice, or it's just hang up or something like that. The thing is, you can basically kill the ADB server, because once you usually run Unreal Engine, in the background also it's going to run ADB. Maybe you have ADB with another tool. For example, use it with Android Studio or another engine like, I don't know, Unity or something. And then they might conflict even. So the thing is, you could always go to Task Manager and find the ADB process here and then kill it and then rerun it. But there's also another way from ADB command line. You could type ADB Kill Server. And once you do that, it's just going to kill ADB. As you can see, it does it from here, from the terminal. It's so common, the problems with ADB, like these kind of issues that I've mentioned, that they did even put a subcommand here for ADB to kill the server quickly on whether you are on Linux or on Windows. Yeah, that's so common. They added this feature to ADB itself. And now if I type ADB devices again, it's going to take a while for it to run and then recognize my basically devices. And you see, the next times it's usually faster. But if I kill it, for example, it's already in memory, but for some reason my task manager was not refreshing. But anyway, it's here. And if I kill it again, as you can see, the next time I run it, it takes a while for it to start up and then recognize the devices. So if you have issues recognizing your device, for example, your device used to work, then suddenly it stops deploying from Unreal Engine or whatever, you can always try killing ADB, either using ADB Kill Server, as mentioned here, or from your task manager, and probably on your next attempt, it's going to work. Okay, now that we got installation and setup of the prerequisites and ADB out of the way, it's time to create a new Unreal Engine project and package and deploy it to a headset like Meta Quest 3. So in order to do that, I'm gonna go to library from the Epic launcher. Then here I'm gonna launch the engine version, in this case Unreal Engine 5.7. And once that is done, I'm gonna wait until it shows me the new project screen. And they revamped also the new project screen for Unreal Engine 5.7. But here, basically I create a new project, click on new project, and here I'm going to choose virtual reality, which basically this is a nice project by Epic. It's a starter template set up for virtual reality with all the optimized settings. I'm going to create it in this path and name it, for example, my project is good, I think. Yeah, that is fine. And then I'm gonna click create. It takes a while for it to load. And if it's first time you are running it, probably it's going to compile also a lot of shaders. So it might take a while for it to load, but I've already done that. Anyways, once the project is loaded, you go to edit, project settings, and if you want to see if your engine has picked up the basically correct settings from your environment variables for Android SDK and Java, basically JDK and NDK, once you go to the project setting, you go to Android SDK here under the platforms section, and it should be able to pick up your settings. But if it's not, you can always basically click on this and choose it from here. For example, let me copy paste this from run. Here for the SDK, I go to the SDK folder. I'm gonna choose this one. For NDK, for example, I'm gonna choose the NDK version, it's here. And also the Java development kit, which is JDK, in this case for 5.7, it's this version of JDK. Then I'm gonna choose it. The SDK API level is basically the API level for the SDK that you could use. By default, it's chosen as latest, and for the NDK, it's 26. But of course, some keyword here, for example, latest match NDK, you could use, for example, for the SDK level to exactly use the match NDK version, or also you could use the latest, which means use the latest version. But these settings basically varies on depending on the device. Of course, you could also change the SDK version here. The thing about this is basically you have to figure it out for your device. How are you gonna figure it out? I'm gonna go back to the main map here for the project. In older Unreal Engine versions prior to 5.7, you had a platforms button here. I liked it really. It was a quick way to deploy to Android, launch the device manager, and stuff like that. But they revamped it for 5.7, and I believe the new system, in my humble opinion, is not production ready. I found like it's a bit buggy or things are not clear. But anyways, in any case, you always have it either here on the toolbar, or in Unreal Engine 5.7, you go to the platforms menu here, and there you have something called Device Manager. And at the moment, like I have two headsets connected, even if you have an Android phone connected as well. Basically, you should be able to see these here. I also see my own PC here, for example. And the thing is, if you go over this with your mice and wait, here you see operating system Android version 14, API level 34 for Quest 3. For Vive Focus 3, for example, it's API level 29. It could be, for example, XR Elite or Vive Vision Pro. Those are, for example, if I'm not mistaken, use API level 32. So it's possible also to build for a range. For example, you say this APK targets Android API level 32, but the minimum required version is 29. So it's able to also run on 29. So you can basically build one APK for two headsets or three headsets inside one APK instead of just targeting one specific APK. But anyway, you can always figure this out through here, basically. And also your engine version actually has some defaults. If you, for example, go to your engine's installation directory, in that case, engine, I've installed it here, like 5.7 engine, extras, and basically Android. As I said, there are multiple scripts here. This one is with .sh for Linux, .command for Mac, and .batch or bat for Windows. Then I can open this inside, for example, Notepad++. I'm gonna bring it to this monitor here. And there are some variables like here platform version and also build tools version, as you can see, CMake, APK, CMake and NDK version. And for platform, for example, version by default, this version of Unreal Engine targets 37. But for example, if we go back to version 5.4 and I drag this file here for you to see, it's Android 33. So the versions are different depending on the engine version, the default one. But anyway, let's get this out of the way. Now I have my project, basically my Android SDK setup. If it's not, you have to basically choose it from here. But of course, now I have to set up the project itself. I'm gonna go to basically edit project settings, and once I select that, I'm here under platforms, Android. First, you have to basically click configure. Once this is red, it's not configured. You do that, it's going to generate some files inside your project's intermediate folder. And then also at the end, there is a configure here. You will click that as well. Now, basically the basics are there. Here you should have a project name, com.company dot the name of the project. For example, my website is bawai.net. I'm gonna choose net.bawai. For example, my project. That's in the basically project ID, the package name on Android. You could choose anything here. Really, it doesn't matter, but that's one common way, for example, to specify package name, like your domain name in reverse and then your package name. This way, on Android, basically, you could categorize all your projects under a specific domain, for example. But it doesn't matter. Let's move on. Here, the minimum SDK version, for example, if I'm going to target VIVE devices, I usually put this on 29 up to, for example, the version that is supported. For example, here, Unreal Engine 35, 4 is the supported version by this, basically, Android API 34 by this Unreal Engine version. So I'm going to put it like this, for example. But because, as I said here, if I again run Device Manager, I could even pin it here. Basically, for Quest 3, it's 34. I could just put it on 34. That is fine. And it's going to work. But maybe you want to also support Quest 2, for example. You could lower this to 32, 29. I believe both of these should work. So it's this one. Also, there are some other settings, and if you basically wait on these with your mice, with the cursor, it's just going to give you also description. So you can check out all these. For example, this one says package game data inside the APK. If you want to just have one APK with all the game data, you could check this, but some platforms might not allow it. For example, Google Play might say, they say we allow only APK up to 40 megabytes. So you should not check this. Then you should create separate pack files and then deploy them either via streaming, or some platforms maybe allow you to a certain size upload there. But anyways, you could, for simplicity, you could do that, just package it. Also, this one says generate install files on for all platforms. This create scripts for you to just click, for example, on Windows, a batch file, on Linux, a shell script, sh on the Mac, dot command file. Deploy your files quickly to your Quest headsets. I'm going to check this. Actually, it's very useful. But if not, you could use ADB. ADB space, it's called, I believe, something like install or something like that. -s, for example, for the internal memory, and then the name of the SDK, if I remember it correctly. But if you look at the source for the basically script, we're gonna see the exact command. Then this one, disable verify OBB on first start update. I like that because it takes some time during development. Yeah, I usually check this. You could create a small OBBs, for example, force small. It's just gonna keep everything to 1 gigabyte, but it's not always possible. You could allow large OBBs. Usually these OBBs created by Unreal Engine limited to 2 gigabytes, but you could check this, make it 4 gigabyte. And then all these other settings, basically, there's a lot of them. But yeah, basically I'm happy with these. And then in addition to that, there was some other important ones. For example, here, package for MetaQuest devices. I'm gonna check this, allow this to be checked. Then this one, remove Oculus signature. Yeah, I'm gonna also check this one, but you could see it says if Quest Go APK signed for distribution, and then enable entitlement checker, whatever. But you don't need it. Even for Quest, you can just disable this. But beside that, yeah, there's plenty of other settings here you could just play with, but I think these are all good. Now it's time to deploy. As I said, if you look at my older videos, there was a button here. You could quickly check your device and directly deploy from here to your device. But now everything has changed. They have a new project launcher. This is the legacy one. We go to the project launcher, and here usually you don't see this. I've created this for my own testing. I'm gonna delete it. Usually you see basically this screen and the basic launch. What you can do, you can create a new launch profile, and by default it's, for example, for Windows, and it's called new profile. You can rename it, but I don't care really. Here I'm gonna say edit, right click, edit profile, and basically you could assign this profile for a specific project or any project, basically to be used globally. Then there is like the platform. I'm gonna choose Android ATSC. That's the most common one, but with some devices, basically it's just different. This is the way basically your textures are going to be encoded. You could like use any of these, or you could use this one, which is bigger, but it's going to support multiple devices. But for Quest or, for example, HTC VIVE, ATSC is fine. And although I've basically deployed OpenXR projects using this ATSC, this profile seems new in this version of Unreal Engine. I don't know exactly what the benefits of this are, because there's really no documentation available for this at the moment. But anyway, also here you could choose the development, debug, build, or shipping. Usually the development, it enables the console, there's a console inside Unreal Engine application and some other development features or logs or whatever that you could use during your development for debugging. You could still use this, but also the debugging, which has more debugging information. The APKs are going to be bigger, but also you have the shipping profile, which is the final product you are going to deliver to your basically customers. It's the fastest version as well, because all the debugging information and the development information are going to be cut from this release. Yeah, during your testing, usually development is good. Unless you need extensive debugging, you could use this one. But yeah, if you are going to ship to your customer, you are going to use the shipping one. And then basically this one, it says content scheme. I don't know, for some reason this Zen streaming is disabled, and if you change it to something else, you cannot basically select it back. Unless you delete the profile, you create a new profile. And that's a bit weird. And actually, when I tried to use the Zen streaming to deploy to the device, for me, it didn't work correctly, really. You could use the development package, or for example, pack file, or choose legacy, or cook on the fly. These are like a different method. And regarding the Zen streaming, actually, there was a setting here, but really enabling, disabling that inside the project, packaging, I guess, yeah, use Zen server as cooked output store. I really don't know what this Zen server is. I have to check it out probably. There's something there, but yeah, even checking this, basically it didn't make it work for me. But anyway, I'm gonna stay with either development package or pack file. These are going to affect the other settings as well. For example, if you choose development package and you here check this one, you will get this check mark, and actually the launch button is going to be disabled. In that case, you are going to you have to switch, for example, to pack files. But anyway, if I basically selected development package instead of this, I could deploy to a build directory. It just creates like an APK inside the folder. Then I could manually deploy that to the headset. For example, that's one way to do it. But in any case, I'm gonna use the pack files. I think, yeah, I'm happy with this instead of development packages, but you could also choose that as well. And then there are other settings like, for example, which map you are going to deploy, you could just select it here or just stick to the startup map. Then it says build a game. This one is also, it says no matter what, build it again if it exists. This one is going to archive the build, which basically means, for example, here, if I go to here, I created this empty build folder. I'm gonna put it here. So it's going to create this package inside this build folder. I'm gonna check it. And then I can also check my headset, which headset I'm going to deploy to. But well, I don't know whether my Quest has some issues or not. When I check that and when I try to deploy from Unreal Engine 5.7, it just makes the headset Quest either freeze or reboot, or even like in the Unreal Engine, like when it tries to deploy, it's gonna get a stuck. I don't know why. Maybe it works for you. You could just try to directly, once you basically click launch, deploy to the device. I'm gonna disable this because it's not gonna work for me. Also, I'm gonna disconnect my HTC VIVE device, so they're not gonna interfere. I'm gonna uncheck this. So yeah, but you could keep it on and test. So I prefer to just deploy to this build folder, and from there, I'm gonna basically package. Also, you could, this is for this one, for example, when you deploy, you could choose the startup map and also command line arguments if you want to pass to your project some command line arguments. But anyway, in that case, I don't want to. Let's click, basically click launch. And it's gonna take a while to build your project, especially if it's first time, it's gonna cook the content. But I've already done that for a similar project here. Probably it's not gonna take that much because Unreal Engine is gonna cache those shaders and things that it has to build. So probably it's gonna be much faster. And by the way, this is a blueprint project. How do I know? Basically, when you create the project, if you go back here to my project, there is no source folder here. This is purely a blueprint project. Sometimes in Unreal Engine projects, it's possible that your project fails to package because it's a blueprint project. For example, if you have a plugin, C++ plugin or something, I don't know, for some reason, it just fails. In that case, you could just create a new C++ class, for example, just like an empty class, and just name it dummy class or whatever, my class, just add it to your project. It's going to create a source folder, and that solves the issue. If it happens to you, I've already basically mentioned this in one of my tutorials here. I believe in this one, if you go all the way to the end, there is like a troubleshooting section that I go over this in details. Okay, it seems to be done. And now let's go to the build folder here. And here, Android ATC, it did not create our basically batch files. Also, despite the fact that we, in the project settings, which is weird, let me check. We did check package game generate install files for all platforms. As I said, this tool seems buggy. Sometimes it just creates it, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe I have to, let's say done. Maybe here I have to check instead of pack files, development package, and let's retry to see what happens. Because this tool is so new, I haven't used it much, so I don't know exactly how it behaves sometimes. But let's see if it's going to create basically those script files for us. But even if it doesn't, as I said, you could just here open like a terminal, like cmd. Then you're gonna go to D, CD. I'm gonna drag this here. and probably I could type ADB. Yeah, well, actually that was the reason. We had to basically choose the development package. But anyway, if I open this inside Notepad, and here I believe it uses, okay, ADB device. This is list package uninstall, but there should be an install, I believe. Yeah. Yes. ADB install, basically APK. We could even try it. Like, definitely if I run this, it's going to install this APK, but I'm gonna type ADB install, and the name of the package is this one. So it's going to perform a install. It might take a while depending on your project size, but this project is not that much huge. I guess it's around 162 megabytes. So yeah, it's already done. Okay, now is the time to go to the headset. So I'm going to use MetaQuest casting to show you what happens inside basically the headset once I run the application. Here you can go to library, to unknown sources, and here was our project. I think this is the one that we deployed. I'm going to run the application to see what happens. And sometimes happen that once you deploy the application, it's just gets stuck in that loading screen that you saw. The reason usually is not very obvious with Unreal Engine projects. For example, sometimes you run the project, it just gets stuck for no apparent reason. And what I figured is, in that case, probably the best thing to do is sometimes go back to your engine. For example, the settings here, if you were using pack files, switch to development packages. If you use development packages, switch to pack files, or I don't know, change the settings. Or for example, even one other thing that you can do is to go back to your project, and there, for example, inside your project, once the engine is closed, delete this intermediate folder, the build folder, and try to rerun the project. Or one other thing that sometimes work is basically reboot your headset, try to redeploy the package, and it works. Yeah, that's the thing. And of course, there is another way. You can check the ADB logs. Sometimes it's also useful. You could find the real reason. I'm going to show you at the end how could you use the ADB logs to basically debug for such scenarios. But yeah, in the end, here's our package. We could it's just deployed to Android, and actually we could test it to see if it works. If I am going to pick up my controller, you can see I can just go to the environment and even go there, pick up like some items if I want to, and then yeah, move inside the environment. But the thing is, the project is working and deployed to Android. Okay, I told you I'm gonna show you how to read the debug logs from the device in order to basically do advanced debugging using ADB. In order to do that, if you remember, inside the project settings, inside Android, we had the project name. We could check the ADB logs and then basically look for this project name, or also it's possible to check for UE logs in general. This command is called, once your device is connected and you are running the project, you could use ADB log cat, And once you enter that, it doesn't matter whether on Linux or Windows or Mac. Basically, you see all the logs from your device, and it's in real time. But what you can do, if I press Ctrl C, I'm back to the terminal. I could use this pipe basically to redirect it to another program. For example, on Linux, you could type grep, but on Windows, it's called find str or str and /i, which is for case insensitive. And then I could, for example, look for my project, which is the name of the project here. And it's going to show me the logs only for my project. For example, here, anything you see here, the name of the project, and shows all those logs related to my project. But also it's possible, I believe, to use for example, UE5, maybe UE. But UE is like a common thing. It could like be repeated anywhere, but yeah, basically it's possible to maybe without this. Yeah, because we are going to make it case sensitive, it's probably easier to find logs related to UE. But as you can see anyway, you can always look up with your project's name. That's one way to read the ADB logs. You can also, what other thing you can do is basically, for example, right now I am inside this folder, like build, I'm here. I could, let's go one folder up. Inside the build folder, what I could do is basically redirect this whole thing to a file, let's say log.txt. And as you can see here, it's just gonna create this file. And if I'm going to edit it, I can later use my text editor to search inside the logs and find information there. That is also possible, basically. So this is how you are going to use ADB Logcat to basically debug your application. Okay, now I want to basically continue with enabling hand tracking on first MetaQuest 3 and also how to deploy to HTC VIVE devices, which these are require some extra steps and configurations for you to do, and also some extra plugins. As I mentioned, basically here, there are two links. If you go to the article, which is going to be released with the video, there's a plugin section here, one for MetaXR plugin and the other one is for HTC VIVE OpenXR. If we click on this one, we're gonna go to the Meta for Developers website, and the latest version supports up to Unreal Engine 5.61. And for newer version of the engine, which is 5.7, you have to wait until Meta releases the next official version that is going to support that version of the engine. So that's why I'm going to close this version of the engine, and I'm going to use 5.6. If you remember from our Unreal Android installer, basically Unreal Engine 5.6 and 5.7 use the same Android NDK and SDK version, so you don't have to even reinstall this for Unreal Engine 5.6. So we are going to use the same Android NDK, SDK, and JDK. That's no problem. But here, what we have to do, we have to basically download Unreal Engine, basically MetaXR integration. I'm going to click the download button. You have to read the license agreement, and then once you did, you can accept it, and then download basically MetaXR plugin. I'm going to download it to the to this drive here. So it might take a while. Okay, it's done. And also I need to do something else. Basically, if you check out my older tutorials, I did a few hand tracking tutorials, like this was the introduction, and then there were two other ones which we animated a mesh and we use hand tracking using the Quest camera in order to basically use our bare hands without controllers to interact with the world around us. So you can always go watch those. Also inside this video, I showed how to do the same thing I'm going to show you. Basically enable hand tracking on MetaQuest 3 in a standalone mode, and also on HTC VIVE devices in standalone. Basically you could also go watch these for more details, but if you basically watch those tutorials, I've published the projects. It's on Microsoft Azure and GitLab. We are going to download one of those projects in order to test the hand tracking, because I don't want to write a hand tracking blueprint right now or a project. It is going to take time. So we are not going to do that. What we are going to do, you could, for example, go for this one or even this one, and then download one of those projects and yeah, basically start using them. I'm gonna just stick to the probably the most basic one, which is this one. There should be a link here. Yeah, the project files on Microsoft Azure repositories. I'm gonna use this one, and there is a branch for 5.5. Don't use the one from 5.4. because the API for hand tracking is different and it's not going to work on the newer engine version. So use the branch 5.5 and then download the project. I'm going to download it. And let's download it here. Also, it might take a while for it to be downloaded. So we are going to use the MetaXR plugin along with this project to basically target for Android. I'm gonna delete these. So we have an empty build folder. And I guess it takes a while. But in the meanwhile, we could actually move this one to the dev folder and extract it maybe. Okay, we could just extract it here because it already has a folder called MetaXR. I think, yeah, the download is done. Then once that is done, I'm gonna move this to the dev folder. Okay, we have to extract this inside the folder, otherwise all the files are going to be extracted in the current folder. So I'm gonna extract it here. And let's rename it. It's called XR hands. We are going to call this XR hands. So basically, once we have this, I'm gonna open the project file inside an editor, or you could use this button, switch engine version, and then basically here switch the engine version to your desired one. But I'm gonna use a text editor. And once I do that, here I'm gonna say version 5.6 and save it, because I want to use that version of the engine. And then I'm gonna basically inside this folder, create a folder, P capital, plugins. And what am I gonna do is cut this MetaXR, move it from here to the plugins folder and paste it here. That's it. Now I'm gonna open the project with Unreal Engine 5.6. And we are going to try to build it for Android to see whether it works or not. But first we have to do a bit of configuration. It's not that difficult. Of course, beside our deployment, I think it might take a while for these shaders to compile. I hope there's not a lot of them, but we have to wait apparently. So apparently we have to wait. I'm gonna leave this for now, and I will be back to it once that is done. Okay, it seems, yeah, the project is open. Now we can continue. I'm gonna it says MetaXR simulator update available. Let's update. I don't know what is that. It's going to update, basically download a bunch of files, and now it's updated. And let's close this. Let's go back inside our project. And here, basically, I need to go to the project settings, go to first Android SDK to see if yeah, it matches whatever we had earlier. Then inside Android here, basically I have this setting that I have to basically configure. Then I'm gonna configure this one as well. And then the project name, let's call it net.babari.xr hands. So I have this as well. Now I think I'm gonna target Android 29 to 34. Then again, I could be using these as well because it makes it easier. Then the same settings. Yeah, the same settings as we did with the previous project. That's it. Then we have to basically configure MetaXR. We go to the here to the plugin section, MetaXR. Here you have to choose Epic because there's an XR API. You have to choose Epic native OpenXR with Oculus vendor extension. We are going to choose this. It said, do you want to restart the engine? Before I restart the engine, I'm gonna also here choose hand tracking support, controller and hands. I want to support both. So I'm gonna choose that. And also there are like the frequency, you could just choose low or high. And also because it affects basically your the performance of your application. And also there was in the previous versions there was an option for, I don't know, version or something. Basically they had like a hand tracking API version, but I don't see it. Probably they have, oh, it's here. Basically there's another one. I'm gonna choose basically, yeah, I'm happy with the default. You could choose either version 1 or 2 depending on your preferences, if you know what those mean. But anyway, we're gonna restart the engine. Okay, once this is done, I'm gonna update the project file as well. It says, let's see if MetaXR plugin is enabled. Yes, it is enabled in the plugin. So you could always access the plugins from edit menu here. But anyway, I think I'm happy with everything. Let's go to, yeah, we don't have that because as I said, that platform menu, it was added in Unreal Engine 5.7. We had this platforms button for Unreal Engine 5.6 or previous versions. So I'm happy with the development, Android 8, basically ATSC. And I'm gonna directly basically to deploy to the device rather than doing it to a folder. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and yeah, it's gonna start. I'm gonna show the output log for you to see. But as I said, I much prefer this one. I don't know, I like this one over the revamped basically platform menu they've done. And also yeah, I like this one. It was much quicker and more polished in my opinion. But anyway, I think we have to wait for a while until this project basically builds for Android. If so, I'm gonna leave it because yeah, I see there's a lot of source files that have has to be built. So I'm gonna leave this for a while, then I will be back to the tutorial once this is done. Okay, we are back. The project also it built successfully, but the deployment, as you can see here, when it reached to ADB install, it failed because for some reason, as I said, I don't know why my Quest device does not behaving well recently. It's just rebooted. That's why basically the deployment has failed. So I'm gonna retry this time. Hopefully it's not going to take too long because we already did build a project. But let's see. If it fails to basically deploy, I'm gonna do it the same old way. We just create the package, put it inside the folder, and then we are going to use the batch scripts to deploy it. But now it seems to be deploying. I hope this time it won't reboot. Okay, it seems to be frozen again. I'm gonna cancel and then I will try to package it inside a folder. Let's say we can do it this way using Unreal Engine 5.6. What am I gonna do is while I am rebooting my headset, I'm gonna use the package project feature, and then we go to the build folder, and I'm gonna package it there. So my headset is up again. Okay, it seems it's built fine. Now it's time to go here, use this script to deploy it. Okay, now it's deployed to the device. I'm gonna use the screencast feature to cast for you to see it. Okay, now we go to our applications, to unknown sources, and there should be a XR hands here, I believe. I'm gonna run this and see if hand tracking is working. Okay, hand tracking is working. It's perfectly functional, and I could basically use my hands in real time. And yeah, so just one thing, if you don't see your hands working after doing this, I should have maybe mentioned it earlier. You could just quit the project, go to settings probably, and here inside settings I believe inside advanced, or maybe no, maybe movement tracking. Yeah, it's here. Inside movement tracking, you have to enable hand and body tracking. So if I turn this off, hand tracking is not going to work. But yeah, basically once you had that, the hand tracking should be working. This is how you will make hand tracking work on Android using the MetaXR plugin. Okay, the last step of this tutorial is to build Unreal Engine projects and package them for HTC VIVE with OpenXR hand tracking support. In order to do that, you have to first download the HTC VIVE OpenXR plugin for Unreal Engine. And unfortunately, it has not been updated since 2024. And personally, I think Unreal Engine support for basically HTC devices is probably dead in standalone mode. Maybe the reason is because HTC sold their huge part of their XR department to Google for Android XR. I don't know. But yeah, that's the reality of it. If you want to deploy in a standalone mode, you are stuck to Unreal Engine 5.3 and 5.4 for now. They promised they're gonna release for example 5.5, but it never happened. At least almost a year later. But anyways, if you want to make the plugin work, you can just download the plugin, or you can download their sample project along with their plugin. I'm going to do that. Here you can download the plugin only, but I'm going to download both the sample project and also the plugin in one package. I will accept the license agreement, click download, and then I'm going to download it to dev folder here. And once that is done, we can open it inside Unreal Engine. But before that, if you remember, basically, let's go back to the table of contents here. Unreal Engine 5.4 has a different requirements for Android. Basically, for example, the minimum SDK they require is like 26 for shipping, and also for compilation SDK version 35, and the NDK version is like R25B, but in the recent versions it's R25 27C, for example. Let me see. This was the old one. Probably I have to update this because they've updated this. It's a bit outdated. As I said, I did it with the original Unreal Engine 5.6. If you click this link here, where is it? Here. You see they have updated it to 27C because yeah, Unreal Engine 5.6, the initial release, was similar to 5.5 and 5.4. But anyways, so we can basically go to the script here, switch to branch 5.4, download this and run the installer. And as I've mentioned, like if you go here inside the Android folder, you can rename this, for example, make this -5.7. Then you will install for basically 5.4 inside the Android folder. So the installer is not gonna remove it, but of course you have to then adjust the paths inside your Unreal Engine per version because you changed the default path. But I'm not gonna do that. What am I gonna do is actually I'm gonna keep the same SDK, but I'm gonna add to it. So that means it's able to, for example, build for 5.7, and it's going to be able to build for 5.4 as well. How am I gonna do that? Basically, I'm gonna add the components that are missing manually. The first component that we need is the Java version. For example, here for 5.7, the Java version is, I believe, 17. I don't see it. I have to probably look for Java. Yeah, here. OpenJDK version 17. So I'm gonna here type JDK version 17 Windows download. It's going to take me to their archive, and this is the last publicly available version. Newer versions are available with recent security patches, but you have to create an account and sign in on Oracle's website, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to use this compressed archive here for Windows x64. I'm going to download this. Let's download it here. And once that is done, we are going to basically extract this to this folder here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to extract it here. So I have now two versions of JDK. This is for 5.6, 5.7. This is for 5.5, 5.4. And then we add other components, like, for example, the NDK, the platform version, and other things like that. So in order to do that, I'm going to open a developer command prompt. And then basically what am I going to do is like they have a tool called SDK manager. If we run it, basically this is the SDK manager. It has some command line arguments. Basically, I am gonna enter what is required. As I said, you can always look it up from the Epic website here, or you can just directly go to your engines directory here, engine, extras, Android, and open this file, or any other script for other platforms. And here you can check basically what you need. Okay, here, if I go a bit down, let's make this full screen first. Here, yeah, this is the place we need. So the NDK version is this one. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go back to, where is it? Here, I'm gonna type basically NDK, then semicolon, then the version. And then after that, I'm gonna close the quotation, open quotation, and probably we need platforms version. So I'm gonna type platforms Android dash, I believe it was 33. Yeah, it was 33. And then maybe we need build tools as well. So I'm gonna again type build tools, semicolon, version 3301. So that's it. I guess the other like CMake version, for example, it's the same thing. Platform tools are already installed. So these are the three components that I need. And okay, probably my firewall is enabled, so I'm gonna disable the firewall. If you don't have firewall, you don't have to care. It's just yeah, it's going to install these missing components for us, so we don't have to maintain various SDK versions. Yeah, that's how I would do it. Maybe I could add this feature to the script itself. So, for example, I could provide a way to add it to the existing SDK or NDK, but yeah, whichever way you prefer, like you could keep it separate, you could do it this way that I've been doing it. So I don't have to install multiple versions. But anyway, in the meanwhile, let's go back to here. And inside the dev folder, we downloaded the ViveOpenXR plugin plus the project, the sample, basically. I'm going to extract it here. And so it's here, ViveOpenXR. And you see inside the plugins folder, this is their plugin. But also the project, if I drag it here, it's for 5.4. We only have to just, yeah, okay, it's over. Now, let's first verify if our SDK is compatible with version 5.4. We go to engine, we go to extras, Android. We are going to run this script. If it says success, then yeah, it means it's working. So perfect. Now we are compatible. Let's go back to our project that we downloaded from the HTC website along with the plugin. So I'm gonna open this. It might take a while again because of shaders. So let's see. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. So I'm gonna leave it here, and then I will be back once the shaders are compiled. Okay, now we have our project open. What we have to do, the first thing, whether we rename the Android SDK NDK path from the installer, the script, or we just add it to it, we have to first make sure we use the correct NDK and SDK. So that's why we go to the project settings inside Edit Project Settings, and then we head to the Android SDK section inside Platforms. We make sure we are using the correct ones. For example, here for 5.4, we use the wrong one. It's not this one. So let's go to C, Users, App Data. I believe there was an App Data. Then Local, and inside Local, probably Android. And here SDK, NDK version 25. And also for the JDK, I'm gonna use this version. So yeah, that's it. And then basically we head to the Android section. We have to click Configure. And if you remember, also we have to check the device manager for the version of the device that we are using. I have to basically connect my HTC device. And then after that, I'm gonna go to device manager here. Like for Vive Focus 3, it was API level 29, if you remember. So what am I gonna do is inside project settings here, I'm gonna target 29. So this is fine. Also, yeah, I could put 26 because it was the minimum required for this version, but yeah, you could just put 29, it's gonna work. And if you use basically newer Android, HTC devices, like for example Vision Pro or like XR Elite, you could just increase this target, but keep the minimum as this one. It's gonna work. Then other settings like this one that we discussed, you could just change those as well. One thing I noticed is you have to keep this as well. Although this is a HTC device, you have to keep this. Otherwise, yeah, when you run the game, the picture is going to be upside down, or I don't know, it's not 3D or something. You just keep everything else as default. But like the MetaXR plugin here, we have now ViveOpenXR. And before that, also make sure you go to the Edit Plugins. Here, if you search for OpenXR, make sure OpenXR plugin, OpenXR hand tracking, and ViveOpenXR, these three are enabled. This is a requirement. And then you go back to project settings. Inside ViveOpenXR, there are two very important settings that you have to do for the hand tracking to work. The first thing is this one. You enable hand interaction. This one should be enabled. That's a requirement basically for OpenXR to work. Then there's this other one. This one is going to use HTC's version of hand tracking, which we don't want. Basically, you have to disable that. Like the MetaXR, if you remember, we switched to the Epic backend instead of the Oculus Quest backend. So here, this one should be disabled. If it's false, it's going to use this one, which is the correct thing. So these two were the most important one. And after that, basically what you can do, just like what we did with the Quest, you are going to deploy now. Actually, I should remove the Quest one, and then yeah, I could deploy to Vive Focus 3. So basically that's it. That's what you need for Vive devices. So overall, this was the ultimate guide for deploying to Android from Unreal Engine, and also I provided a one-click installer for Android SDK and NDK, which you could use. And feel free to modify it, to use it whichever you would like. And also feel free to ask questions. Also, I appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, because I've noticed basically more than 90% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. It's going to make me more motivated to basically create more tutorials like this. And please, let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. I appreciate it if you put a comment, if you like, if you subscribe. And hope you see you on the next one.